Noticed I tried to do the broadcast a minute ago, but something was wrong with the resolution on the camera or something. I don't know. All right, I got it working now. So today is the 20th of March. It's about almost 9 o'clock in the morning. It's cold again now. Not that cold like it was, but we're only at 56 degrees now. Our high is not going to be much, 60, and it's going to be windy and rainy off and on. A little bit of, I haven't really seen rain this morning. Last night, I think there was a little bit, not much, and it's going to be basically an ugly day today. Tomorrow could be some more showers. The low is going to be 46 and the high 56 tomorrow. It's going to be cold tomorrow. Then we start to pull out. Saturday, we hit 61 with a low of 44. That's bad. And then Sunday, we get to 65, and then Monday, 72, then 79. Then we're in the 80s, in the high 80s. So I guess we got a cold spike that interrupted our beginning of summer, but we're going to get back into it pretty quickly. So the house is cold, the heater's on, I got my hat on, the dogs got their haircuts, the big dogs there are no more little dogs, as you know. The big dogs got their haircuts, and they're not happy in the cold weather. What are you going to do? It's miserable. So what are we going to cover today? There's a serious coup in Turkey with tremendous implications for the whole Middle East region. Huge. And could imply problems for NATO too. All for one, one for all. Erdogan is getting overthrown. This is massive. I mean, it's so bad that the HTS bombs in Syria that run Syria just sent 700 soldiers to Turkey to help the guy. This is serious. Multiple cities. You see, in Turkey, the mayors of the larger cities run the countries. And in Istanbul, the mayor was going to run against Erdogan for president. He was just getting started to go into his campaign. And Erdogan got him arrested for stealing $7 million or $1 billion, which the people believe is bogus, and they're getting rid of this Erdogan idiot. And I believe they're going with a guy that's a lot more secular than Erdogan was or is, who's kind of more into the Sharia law. The rural areas of Turkey tend to be more into this, terrorist Sharia law, the type of Mohammedanism where the cities are more interested in being secular, not into, women shouldn't be wearing coverings. I don't have any deep depth of this knowledge in Turkey, but that's what I believe I heard is what's going on. But Erdogan just wants to get rid of a political opponent, and the people in Turkey are demonstrating, and they're telling Erdogan to leave the country. They're coming for him. This is real. Mark 13, disturbances. The leader of Serbia just resigned. Another one bit the dust. Erdogan is not going down without a fight. But I'm not so sure the army's going to back him. I don't know yet. He's in NATO. They're attacking NATO. What if he goes NATO, tells NATO he needs help? I don't know if they'll help him. I don't know what they'll do. He's not being attacked by a foreign power, so I don't know. What's America going to do? I don't know. This started yesterday, so it's really breaking news. It's too soon to tell. The Houthis fired a missile at Israel last night at about 4:01 in the morning. 13 people got injured running to the bomb shelters. The missile was taken down before it hit Israel. It was passing over Saudi Arabia. This is becoming a daily thing, and I'll cover with you why the Houthis are actually being successful in their endeavors, although they're, as far as I know, they're not hitting American warships, nor have they landed any missiles in Israel. The Norfolk Navy base in the United States, the largest Navy base, I believe they can dock up 25 Navy ships at one time. All their power is out. Well, we can believe in coincidence. The power just happened to go out on the whole base. A huge, very vital, very important radar base. What happens to the radar when it goes out? What happens to all their other stuff? I don't know yet, but it's a full power outage on the whole base. So we have to look at, is this just something that just happened to happen? Or was this something nefarious? I don't know yet. America hit Yemen again last night. Trump's hitting them hard, by the way. And Putin broke his word to Trump. He told Trump he would try to spare the lives of the Ukrainian soldiers. Trump and him talked about, this is 2-3 days ago, talked about the ceasefire, and Putin said, well, let's suspend attacking energy, which would mean oil, natural gas, power plants, nuclear power plants, and also maritime attacks. And Putin said he would tell his soldiers to honor it. Well, Putin broke his word to Trump, and he's not honoring it. So there's not even this little limited ceasefire. And Putin put 250 drones last night into Ukraine. And Ukraine hit another substantial oil refinery of Putin's. And I saw pictures of it blazing in fire. And there's more we're going to cover. And we're going to get into Bible prophecy, of course. And what I'm going to do now is go into the live stream and make sure we got a live stream. We've learned that lesson. Looks like we have a live stream. Looks like we have a live stream. We're good. Let's see if we got any nasty people in here insulting us. Okay, I'm going to put my posts up real quick and we'll get going. And I'm going to put my email address up if you want to send in prayer requests or toss requests or ask questions. You don't want to put it in the chat. You could put prayer and toss requests in the chat. You could also put questions in the chat. I do check the chat. Being a Bible-believing site, Old and New Testament, we're going to do some praise. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 All right, so we'll start with the attack on Israel. They launched some type of ballistic missile, the Houthis in Yemen did last night at 4:01 in the morning, and it was taken down before it arrived in Israel territory or Israel airspace, and that was the end of that. But they're doing this every day now. And why are they successful with this? Because it was aimed at central Israel population center, not at any base or military facility. That's a war crime, but the nations don't care. We're just a bunch of Jews. You want to go kill Jews? Go ahead. What do we care? You know. And it gets the people to wake up at night. They got to run to the bomb shelters. 13 people got injured falling or tripping while they were running to the bomb shelters. And they wake everybody up in Israel. Now, these are miserable, petty little psychotics. And they get, oh, look what we did. We're so freaking powerful. The rumors are that the missiles are going, these are decent missiles. They're traveling quite a distance. They're going from Russia to Iran, and then Iran gives them to the Houthis in Yemen. Simple. Now, they must be guiding these missiles somehow, because our radar was telling us it was headed towards Israel. So there still has to be radar there, or more likely more Russian intelligence gathering ships using their radar to guide the missile. So I don't know what Netanyahu's move is, but I can tell you that he's going to respond to the Houthis, but not like he did when Biden was president. This will be different. Targeted strikes would be on the table. He may go after, they do have oil in Yemen, he may go after that. I don't know what he's going to hit, but he's going to do something. Okay? They're in full defiance against the United States, and you can bomb us 1,000,000 times, we don't care, we're going to keep going, you know. All right, so that Trump said he's going to annihilate them. He also told Iran to cut it out with transferring weapons to the Houthis in Yemen. And if they didn't do it, the threat was that Trump will take action against Iran. At this time, I would say the potential for Trump to attack Iran in the coming days, not weeks, not months, days, is, I would go 99%. You know, it's end times, so I don't want to say 100% because you never know for sure, but I'm pretty certain he's going to go hit them with airstrikes. I don't know exactly what he's going to hit, but at this point in time, I think that Trump has figured out getting some weird behavior here on my iPad. I don't know what the heck's going on. Something's weird. I'm going to shut it off. This is odd. it's trying to load something, and I don't know what in the world it's trying to load. And I have to get it to close. Okay. Let me just hold the buttons down and get it that way, I think. All of a sudden something popped up and I don't know where it came from. I'm having a problem here. Let me think what I'm going to do. Got to plan my attack here. It's trying to load and it's not telling me anything. This is frustrating. I think I just got it. Oh boy. Now we got to see if it'll open again. It might not open. No, that's not a good noise. Maybe my illumination is down. Let's see. Siri, make screen brighter. Oh no, I'm getting it. The screen is dark, but I think it's loading. I can hardly see anything. This is a problem. It's on because I hear that same stupid beeping again. Let me try. What had happened? Let me try this again and see if I can shut it off. Hang on, guys. I'm trying to get through this. I don't know. Something came up and said something about joining some news service, and then I closed it, and then I got all this problem. And I'm just trying to get it to restart, but I keep seeing some white spot, and it doesn't look like the Apple icon. It almost does, but it doesn't. And I've had trouble with this thing with the brightness of the screen going away. I can't figure this out. Trying to get it to force quit. Well, I might have to do it without my notes. Pray for me to get this thing right, okay, guys? That white mark still is there. It's something going on here. It won't rotate. Maybe I'll go like that. Or try this. See, I can't even see what's going on. I don't think it's a virus. I think it's some sort of. I don't know. All right. I don't know what to do. I don't have a computer now. I've got to pray for this. All right. So Israel is, we're starting to suffer now because we're getting attacks every night from the Houthis. So there's going to be a retaliation. Trump. See, I wish it was the old days where you could just take the battery out of the thing and then that would shut it down and then you could reboot it. But no, they want to make sure you got to go to service to get a battery. You can't just. Oh, now I got the Apple icon. What does that mean, though? See, I got the icon, so something's happening. It doesn't really want to go, does it? Let's see what happens. It's progress anyway. So, I've had so much trouble with this computer when I did the last update and they put the artificial intelligence in here without my permission. I've had so much trouble with this computer, this iPad. It's unbelievable how much problems I've had. It's just unbelievable. I hate their updates. So, let me just give you the bottom line. Trump's going to hit Iran soon, okay? Real soon, okay? And that's going to light up the Middle East. Now, the Syria thing, there's probably going to be a move from Iran on Syria. Now, who, how, what, where, when, and all that. Well, they'll use Iraq and Syria. In Iraq has a land connection to Iran. They can go in by land, They don't need the ocean. So they'll put troops and equipment in Iraq. And in Iraq, there's a lot of militia groups that ran away from Syria. These are the Iranian-backed militias. They're Houthis to a small extent. They're Hezbollah to a reasonable extent. They're even Hamas, along with the Iraqi military, and they'll probably go into Syria with IRGC and other Iranian forces and try to overthrow the Syrian government. Now, why would Iran try to do this? First of all, the Syrian government is weak. Number two, Turkey's moving their troops out of Syria back into Turkey to cover the coup. So that means they don't have to worry about killing Turkish troops. Well, they're on the side of Turkey, but HTS. But Iran doesn't have to worry about having a conflict with Turkey by fighting their troops in Syria at this time. Okay? So that is a plus for Iran. Now, if Iran and Iraq and their crazy militias start acting in Syria, America is going to have a problem. They've got a number of bases, actually some in Iraq, very small amount, but quite a few in Syria, in the northeastern part of Syria where the oil is. And they're keeping that oil in, companies, American or whatever, that are friendly with Iran, with America, are benefiting from that oil. So what happens? Well, Then America has to put more reinforcements inside Syria, and now America's buried in Syria. Well, not buried, but they got military action going on there. Okay? And that's the axis of evil, which would be North Korea, China, Iran, Russia, Belarus, Cuba, Venezuela, maybe some stand countries now got a problem. Well, they make a problem for America in Syria. So America's now has to put some military in Syria in addition to what they already have if they want to keep maintaining Syria. And they're not going to let Iran take over Syria. America will not do this. Okay, that's just off the table. All right. So they'll send a reasonable amount of soldiers in there. I don't know what that is. It's going to depend on what's thrown at them. They have plenty of aircraft and Navy boats in the area, but they probably bring more in. Okay. Now, this is not a guarantee, but it looks like it can occur that way. Now, I went through Bible prophecy to see what all we come up with Turkey and Bible prophecy, and it does look like they appear in Gog and Magog, Ezekiel 38, 39, which is way down the road, like 70 years, so we don't have to worry about that now. It appears not in Bible prophecy. Now, in Genesis 15, he gives us the land from the Euphrates to the Nile. But when we see the siege in Zechariah 12, we see that the nations are surrounding us on all sides, but Turkey's not on our border. The only way Turkey's on our border if we, previous to this, conquer Lebanon. And I don't think that will happen because that happens in redemption. So Turkey is not really necessarily in this. They could be in it. They could send warships to put the embargo or the siege on us on the oceans so nothing comes in and out through the sea. They can do that. They would try to do it. Okay? Right? But also, we could proceed with Zechariah 12 without Turkey. Now, Turkey got problems now, but big problems. So they may get rid of Erdogan, and if I'm reading this right, the people that get rid of Erdogan are not going to be Muslim terrorist oriented. They're going to be, let's have an economy and, have better money and, nicer clothes, that kind of thing, Where the terrorist states are going to jump out and say, let's kill the Jews, let's kill America, let's kill Israel, that sort of thing. They're not going to go that route. And they want to get rid of Erdogan. The economy's bad. Since the coup started, the Turkish currency has been plunging again. And that's not a good thing for them. Okay? So, where does this all take us? Well, this is big. Turkey's in NATO. Turkey's opposing Israel. Turkey's not friends with Iran. Turkey is not doing well with Russia. He's giving Russia problems. Putin might be getting involved in this. I don't know. So this is a big event. We got to watch it. Remember, when the world starts killing each other, it's going to be over Israel. It'll be all over the world. Jeremiah 30:11. I'll destroy all the nations I scattered the Israelites into. Jacob's trouble is coming. That's Zechariah 12. The siege is, Jacob's trouble is great. And it also says there's none like it. Why is there none like it? because the year of recompenses closes with the day of vengeance. Read Isaiah 34, verse 8. And the day of vengeance is Jeremiah 46, verse 28, and Jeremiah 30, verse 11. He destroys all the nations he scattered Israel into. And Amos 9:9 tells us he scattered them into all the nations. Now, this doesn't mean all the countries are going to get, all the people are going to be killed. Their nations are going to go. All these countries are building up their war equipment. Okay? Poland just laid landmines on their border with Belarus and Russia. Russia, no, yeah, Russia, I think, yeah. They're getting ready for war. Europe's getting ready for war. The EU passed almost $1 trillion budget, the EU, not Ukraine, to prepare for war. They're on a war footing with Russia. Now, you got to follow this. There's a lot of moving parts going on now. Trump tried to get a ceasefire going with Putin, with Ukraine, working both sides. Working Zelensky, that didn't go well. Working Putin, Putin just laughed at him. Putin shined him on and then turned right around, hung the phone up, and started attacking Ukraine and went back on his word to Trump. So Putin is trying to use Trump and play him. Okay? Putin doesn't really, isn't into a ceasefire. Europe sees this as Putin's first move on Europe, like Hitler's first move when he went to work, in the 1939 era. And they don't want to find out what Putin's next number 2, 3, 4, 5 move is. Okay? Putin using 250 drones against Ukraine, which I think was last night, is basically probably coming from Iran. I don't know, but I'm guessing it's coming from Iran. So Iran and him have a deep relationship, and he may try to help Iran. I don't know. Putin takes his treaties to defend other countries rather seriously, where Iran, where America doesn't really do it that seriously. I'm going to try to turn the YouTube live stream on my phone so I could read the chat. Now how do I get there? All right. This looks like it. Someone said Ben Gvir to be the next prime minister. Oh, that would be something that would shock me. I don't think there's much of any chance of that, guys. I don't see that. Please keep praying for my computer. I need to get that thing started, or I'm going to need to get another one, and money's an issue these days. I don't know. I lost it or something. Okay. me see if I hit this, what happens. I think I'm in. All right. So there's a lot of moving parts here. Now, Trump started giving the weapons to Ukraine a few days ago, and I think that what Trump is doing now is trying to keep Putin occupied in Ukraine so he can manipulate the Middle East without having to be watching his back and think Putin's going to send 15 warships over to the Middle East with, 150 aircraft or something, That's what I think Trump's plans are right now, okay? So he also turned around and told Zelensky, because his energy plants were being attacked by Russia, he says, let me take over your energy plants, the electric power and all that, the grid. Zelensky declined, which was curious. I don't know why. But that meant Trump would have put missile defense systems and soldiers into Ukraine. So Trump's ready to make moves like this. He wants to keep Putin slowed down so he can deal with the Middle East. What he's doing in Asia, I don't know. I think he's just watching and waiting what's going on in Asia. Now, I think it might have been a revelation from the Lord about this. I think it was, but for some reason I'm not 100% on this. But I don't know where it came from, if it didn't come from the Lord, so it must have been. Yesterday I was very distraught. The supermarket was supposed to bring me a load of groceries, about $200 worth, and I've used them for years and I never had any problems, and the delivery never showed up. I went online to see what happened to my order, and they said it was delivered, and it was never delivered. The guy never even called me. So I had to fill out a form this morning and send it to them online to complain. I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but it's going to be rather problematic for me if I can't get my groceries delivered, because I don't drive anymore, and my wife took off already, so she's visiting family, so I'm stuck here. So I could use some prayer for help with the supermarket too. I'm getting hit with a lot of problems lately again. I don't know why. Maybe I gotta pray in tongues more. I think so. So going back, I think that Netanyahu is acting as an advisor to Trump. That sounds crazy, right? Sure it does. But I think this is the truth. Netanyahu has been trying to dismantle the Supreme Court in Israel. He hates the court because the court goes around and stops him from playing dictator and doing things that are unfair. He's a bad person, very, very bad, evil to the core. A person with a heart like Satan's. He's a terrible individual. I have no words for it. They're running headlines in some of the papers, Haaretz, that Netanyahu is using the war to protect himself politically. Israel is, to some extent, falling apart right now. Is that to be to prepare the way for the two witnesses? Very likely. Let me tell you how it's falling apart, and it all revolves around this idiot Netanyahu. He's trying to fire the head of the Shin Bet, which is like our FBI, sort of, kind of. And the guy said, if Netanyahu doesn't do the right thing, I'm going to release information on him that's very, very damaging. He hasn't done it yet. Netanyahu's trying to fire him, and the Attorney General was telling Netanyahu he can't fire him. What Netanyahu tried to do before getting rid of the Shin Bet was fire the Attorney General. And he was advised not to. So he's trying to do a coup to get rid of the courts, knock the power down. Israel is sort of a democracy without a constitution, and you got three uh, you know, three components of a democracy. You have the legislative, the Knesset. He's got the dominant party. You got the executive. He is the prime minister. And you have the judicial. So if he weakens the judicial and he has the biggest legislative power and he's the executive branch, he's a dictator. And the people are protesting about this. We don't want this guy as a dictator. We don't trust him. You put him in as a dictator and you'll never get rid of him. The people voted him in 20-something years with this piece of garbage. The people in Israel never why don't I ever hear them talk about the massacre on October 7th never would have happened if Netanyahu didn't push gun control for so many years. They all would have had guns and shot them. It never would have went down. Nobody talks about that in Israel. Why? I don't understand why they don't talk about it. It's ridiculous. It's what happened. It's the reality. And they don't talk about it. Why? I don't know. I don't know why they don't talk about it. They should talk about it. But they don't. So, you know, we got this bum. He let it happen. He let October 7th happen. That's what many, probably 1 or 2 million people in Israel probably believe that. I don't know an exact figure, but my guess, as a guess, it would be lots of people know that because they're familiar with the military checks and balances on the Gaza border, and all these things failed. And the response from the military was many hours later, which there's no good reason for. No good reason. Now, he's cozy with Trump. We don't know what's happening. So now Trump's got a judicial coup. The judges are telling him he can't do this, he can't do that. So Trump's now saying, well, I'm going to go after the judges for interfering with me. He's the executive branch, and the judicial branch is trying to stop the executive branch from operating. And he's going to try to get these guys impeached out of office, out of their judgeships. He probably will. That sounds like Netanyahu. I think he's getting fed by Netanyahu. Trump's not a warrior. He's a businessman. He knows the economy. He knows money. He's got a problem in the Middle East, and he's got a problem with Russia. I think he's talking to Netanyahu and using him as a consigliere, like the Godfather, a legal advisor or a war advisor, or in general an advisor. And Netanyahu's teaching him how the Middle East works. Who knows better than Netanyahu? He's been prime minister for 22, 23 years or something like that. Who knows more than him? Probably very few people. You can't go to the Muslims. Trump's not one of them. They won't talk openly to him. And Netanyahu's been dealing with all these Muslim states in the Middle East and Iran and Russia for years. Russia was in Syria for years. Netanyahu would be flying to Moscow frequently to see Putin. So, you know, that's what I think is going on. That's pretty scary. That's real scary. Think about it. So the people in Israel are upset because Netanyahu is restarting the war because Ben Gvir and Smotrich, those guys have two political parties with about 15 seats out of the 120 seats in the Knesset. And they said if Netanyahu goes into phase 2, which means we pull all our troops out of Gaza permanently, they would turn against the government and break the coalition. Netanyahu would stand for a vote of no confidence. If he gets a vote of no confidence, he's not prime minister anymore. They'll probably hold an emergency election, take 1 or 2 or 3 days. And then Netanyahu's the attorney general would go after Netanyahu and make him come to his trial, and the trial would proceed, and he would be probably convicted. I say that because he's so scared of getting involved in that trial. He would probably be convicted and go to jail. Trump couldn't do much about that. Trump could do things like fly over to Israel and visit Netanyahu and take pictures and do a photo op, and have dinner with him and, build the Israelis up that you got a friend in Netanyahu because he's my friend. That would have some effect for sure, but I don't think Trump would likely fly to Israel these days. But he could have Netanyahu come to the White House, or Mar-a-Lago, even better, do it that way. It would have the same effect. Netanyahu hates Iran and has been trying to get America to blow Iran up for a long time. At this point in time, I think what happens to Iran is likely going to be above and beyond just hitting their nuclear facilities. Because that's not going to amount to a hill of beans stopping Iran from their horrible activities in the Middle East. It won't have any effect. It really won't. No effect. So they're going to have to at least hit some of their military, their missile factories, storage facilities, all this kind of stuff. They could decide to hit their oil refineries and shut them down economically and create chaos in Iran. Now, Netanyahu and Trump are completely capable of taking a decision like that. Okay? They both have had it with Iran. Now, what will happen if they hit Iran is there's a lot of moving parts. One of the things is Iran may start attacking Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, and the UAE because they're easy targets. And they could do it with their boats launching missiles. They even have some aircraft. They could do things. They could cause trouble over there. They could hit the American bases there. The attack in Kuwait and UAE and so forth would be on the American bases initially. They also might try to draw Trump into a ground war in Yemen. Okay? America keeps bombing the missiles, the radar, and all that stuff in Yemen. And then Iranian cargo planes fly in the next day and bring another 10 or 15 missiles. And that puts the Houthis back in the game again. So they may destroy the airports in Yemen. But if you're going to start getting airports in Yemen, there's probably 4 or 5 you got to take out, or at least 3. It's going to be a big job. And blowing a hole in the runway doesn't do anything. 2-3 days maximum, if not 12 hours, they repair the hole and they're back in the game. What they have to do is, blow the runways up in a few places, and they also have to take out the tower and the radar. So there's no control tower and there's no radar, and the runway's blowing up and they don't have the lights for nighttime action for landing planes at night. Then the airport's down for a while. Weeks, months. That's the direction that they will probably pursue in Yemen. So Netanyahu's got problems there. Now Netanyahu resumed the war in Gaza, so the people that are favorable of a policy of getting the hostages returned at any expense are against Netanyahu now, because this isn't going to be good for the hostages. Now, the people, the Hamas in Gaza has not yet gone and started torturing and killing hostages on the internet. I think that will come. Netanyahu has now had the Israel military divide the Gaza Strip into a north and a south with a buffer zone in between. It's a serious division. And they're sending notices out yesterday, leaflets by air. They drop them to tell the people, you better get out of North Gaza. Your life is in danger. If you want to stay there, don't complain if you get killed. That's basically the message. Not in those words, but so some are leaving, some probably aren't going to leave. And what's going to come next, they'll probably give them all day today to leave, maybe even tomorrow. And then they're going to start carpet bombing the north and level it. And that will kill the Hamas. And Hamas knows their end is coming. So they don't want to leave on their own. They don't want to make any sort of a deal to demilitarize or anything like that. So what the heck do these nincompoops? What do they really want? They want a victory. And they're trying to use the hostages to do it. So once they start killing the hostages, they're rolling the dice. Let me explain what I mean by rolling the dice. The Israeli public, if they torture them, they could try torturing them. I don't want to get into gruesome details. Live on the internet, and then the people in Israel may start screaming and Netanyahu hitting the streets, protesting and screaming and yelling. Give them what they want. Let's get the hostages back. The psychology here is, say we'll pull out of Gaza, get the hostages back, and then we could always start another war with them. That's the psychology. They'll shoot missiles at us. So the next time they shoot one missile at us, which would probably be 2 to 4 weeks after we pulled out, if not sooner, we just say, well, you fired a missile at us. We're at war again. Boom, right? That's what the people are really saying. They're not going to come out and say it, but that's what they're saying. So the left-wing people are mad that Netanyahu went to side with the right wing. Now let's talk about the ultra-Orthodox. Netanyahu is thwarting the draft of the ultra-Orthodox. It's been passed by law. They have to go in. The Attorney General has given demands to Netanyahu by a certain date. They have to start going in, or they're telling him that he should be putting sanctions on the ultra-Orthodox that don't show up for the draft. In other words, they don't have bank accounts in Israel. They don't have credit cards. Their money gets frozen if they have any money. That's going to be a big harassment for them, but what will happen is the other ultra-Orthodox will help them. That's all that'll happen. They'll say, here, I'll get another credit card from the bank. Use my credit card. Use my bank account. That's all it'll be. And so Netanyahu knows that, but he doesn't want to get the ultra-Orthodox mad because they too have two political parties. Okay? What are the names of them? United Torah Judaism and the Shah's party. They have about 15 votes. So they can pull from the coalition and try to find another political entity that will exempt them from the draft. In addition, Netanyahu's government is giving them lots of money. So the Israeli public is supporting these people that follow the Kabbalah and the Talmud, not the Bible. They call the Talmud and the Kabbalah Torah. That's very bad to do, but they do it. It's not the Bible. It contradicts the Bible. The Talmud says Yeshua is not the Messiah. He's a bastard because he was born of the Holy Spirit. He was a witch. He's not the Son of God. He never rose from the dead. All this stuff, right? So that's what they study. And they also believe that if you put a New Testament in your house, you bring a curse on your house because the rabbis teach them this. Okay? Curiously, I've been following a guy on Telegram that posts only in Hebrew, and he is apparently definitely Talmud, and I think he's also Kabbalah, and he has people pray to saints that I never heard of on his channel. But he's talking now about, he's saying things like every Jew has nothing to worry about, redemption is coming. Son of a gun, the guy got it right. How did he get it right? I don't know how he got there. Is he reading Isaiah 61, the first few verses, Isaiah 63, the first 3 or 4 verses? Is he reading that and understanding it? It's Old Testament. Maybe he is. Maybe he's putting the pieces together. If he's doing it, lots of people are doing it. He might be picking this up because a rabbi taught it to him. So maybe this is getting out there. I don't know. But, I mean, he's not talking like me, with giving you the pieces to get there. He's just basically saying all you Jews have nothing to worry about. You're going to have your redemption. And then he also says God's going to fight for you and take care of you. Well, we know that too. But I found it rather curious, to put it mildly, that this is still doing that. More prayer for the iPad to fix, please. So he's getting it right. I mean, I haven't heard him say anything about Zechariah 12, or Jacob's trouble with Zechariah 12, or Jeremiah 30:11, or Jeremiah 46:28, but they may know about it. But see, the Jews that sit under the rabbis are afraid to talk about things like this publicly because they're told not to. But redemption would be different, and I'm pretty interested in how this comes about, but I don't know. I don't know the guy. I can't contact him, I could try, maybe. I don't know. I don't think he'll like me when he realizes I'm a New Testament believer. I think he'll shun me, but I could give it a shot. I don't know. So they're also worried about Netanyahu siding with the ultra-Orthodoxy, siding with the right wing. Netanyahu is bouncing around like a ping pong ball. Got to understand that Netanyahu is getting it from all sides. He can't make everybody happy. He can't make the right wing happy and make the people that are pro, let's do anything to get the hostages back, happy. Netanyahu is actually not just going through the motions of trying, but he's actually trying to get the hostages back. But I think he's giving up on that, and instead he's going to have to annihilate Hamas. And the problem for him is the hostages are, to some extent, going to be in the north with them in the tunnels, and they'll get killed when he plows the place to the ground with the bombs. I'm going to take a break for a minute. I'm hearing noise from the dogs. I want to see what they're doing. I'll be right back. Pray for that iPad. It'll come back. Pray. Maybe the iPad is dying because God's telling me my time on the internet is up. I don't know. What do they really want? They want So we got issues here with Netanyahu. Israel is getting divided. I'm not hearing anybody talk about overthrowing Netanyahu, but if things start to go bad with Trump, which is possible, you see, if Netanyahu really is advising Trump, which I believe he is, Trump's going to find himself embedded militarily in the Middle East. And when that happens, he's going to find himself having problems in Asia and in Europe. Trump's not going to turn around and say it's my fault. He's going to tell Netanyahu it's his fault and turn on Netanyahu. Which means he turns on Israel, which fulfills prophecy. In Jeremiah 50 or 51, America shall do evil in our sight. Putin's behavior and Iran's behavior and the Houthis' behavior and so forth, China and North Korea, makes me believe the attack by the sleeper agents on America is coming very shortly. Plus the attack in Revelation 18 is coming. Not long. Days, weeks, something like that. I believe he'll hit Iran first. That'll be the trigger. They're going to say Trump's then really out of control. Trump's approach to Russia with Ukraine is going to be to start giving better weapons to Zelensky. It's going to come. Instead of, he'll start giving them missiles with a range of 300 miles. And then Zelensky will start destroying more oil refineries deeper into Russia. He's not going to want Zelensky hitting population centers. The oil refineries don't cause many, or they may not even cause any casualties, or very few, if any. And he also hits military bases. That's allowable. The nations in Europe have been just racking up the weapons, and they're going to start destroying each other. Europe may divide and go turn against each other. Don't think that can't happen. It could happen. Netanyahu has no safe harbor. He has no place to go. What I think he's trying to do is an end run. He doesn't know how in the world he's going to get those hostages back. I don't know anyway either. So he's going to try to plow Gaza over. They shall swoop down on the shoulders of the Philistines, is the prophecy scripture. That could be the planes and the missiles. There you got it. I mean, that's what I think Netanyahu's best move is right now, and it's far from a good move. He's going to keep the ultra-Orthodox in line by constantly fighting the Attorney General and just not going to have the government do anything to them for not showing up for the draft. And there's not much that the Attorney General can really do about that. They could try to take action against Netanyahu, but He'll just start telling them, I can't appear, I got wars to fight, I can't do this now, you gotta wait. He'll just shove them off until, he gets his goal accomplished. The meantime, Trump must be shoveling weapons into Israel wholesale for Netanyahu. The Houthis can't do much of anything anymore. The war between Syria and Lebanon quieted down, but don't think it's going to last. Erdogan, Turkey, pulling out of Syria means that Hezbollah may move into Syria again and start fighting. The Syria thing's going to blow up. Damascus shall be a ruinous heap. It's going to blow up. Lebanon's going to blow up more. Lebanon, open up your doors, let the cedars of Lebanon burn. This hasn't happened yet. Israel is hitting Hezbollah locations all over Lebanon now, far from the border. The Houthis may not be beatable by air attacks. It's possible. They got mountainous, rough terrain to hide in there. Caves, mountains, tunnels, deep tunnels, human shields getting lost in the civilians, putting weapons in next to their houses or in houses, and all this stuff that we saw them do in Lebanon and Gaza. So in other words, Trump could keep bombing Yemen every day till the 1st of May. And then Iran will fly planes in and they'll keep shooting missiles. So what the heck do? Got to stop Iran. But if you hit the nuclear facilities in Iran, how do you stop? How did that stop them from bringing more weapons into Yemen? It didn't. See what I'm saying? You have to hit more than the nuclear facilities. And that's a much, much bigger attack. They got 5 or so nuclear facilities hit. That's 5 targets. If you start wanting to hit missile factories, drone factories, missile storage facilities, military bases where they have missiles at the ready, this is all Iran, you're talking about probably 75 targets, or at least 50. Okay? If you want to protect Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, the UAE, you got to take out their missile launching boats, which I don't know how many of those they have. 4, 5, something like that. 6, 7. That has to go. So it's a way, way, way greater scope of an attack. Iran's best move is to use Iraq as a proxy now and try to get Syria back, because then they got something going for them, because you can go from Iran by land to Iraq, and Iraq has a border with Syria, so they got the whole thing covered, so they could move military and weapons around there by ground very easily. And now they're close to Israel. They can run the American bases out of Syria, out of Iraq, and they could be very threatening and take control of the Middle East. Now, what they need to make that happen is Russia to help them, or China, and North Korea might help them, but the soldiers are no good apparently. So that's one reason why Trump is keeping Putin tied up in Europe and Ukraine. He doesn't want Russia going over there and helping Iran. Right now, Russia's plate is full. Russia's not winning. Everybody, Russia's so powerful, they're going to use it. Where is it? It's been, what, 3 years? Russia has never used it yet. Russia is not that strong. They've lied to us and tried to convince us how mighty Russia is for so many decades, and they're not. Look what Zelensky does to them. Could you imagine what America would do to Russia? Imagine what NATO would do to Russia, how they would devastate it. It would be demolished. So the thing is pretty confusing. There's a lot of moving pieces, and it's very difficult to put all the pieces together. It's extremely difficult. And it's end times, and things could shift. So the Israel government is not around in Zechariah 12. And Netanyahu is in really bad shape right now. Is it possible that something happens and one of these countries gets a hit on the government in Jerusalem and they get killed? I doubt it will happen. I don't seem to see it in prophecy, but it might happen. It could. I don't see that it can't happen. I just don't see how the government winds up being gone, but it's gone in Zechariah 12, which is like just around the corner. And I don't know how it gets gone. So the days of Elijah approach rapidly. And it's Elijah and Apostle John, the two witnesses. So there you got a pretty good idea what's going on. And that brings us to redemption, of course. I don't know how long the siege lasts, guys. The siege in Zechariah 12 could be 3 or 4 days. It could be 50 days. I don't know. Elijah might be working, training the Levites during the days of the siege. Then they get the offerings right. Then the offerings are acceptable to the Lord. And then we have the blessings of the law come on Israel. And then the two witnesses wipe out the people laying the siege to us. And then the second Exodus starts and everything like that. It's got a lot of moving parts. Okay? It's got a lot of moving parts. Don't think that the world is ever going to get this right and wake up and get it straight, and the churches are going to, I don't. They might come out of it at the end, but right now they're not listening. They're ignorant of the year of redemption, the day of vengeance being over, the controversy of Zion. They don't understand the day of vengeance. They don't understand redemption. They don't understand everlasting life. And they're all hung up on Gog and Magog, which is down the road 70 years. So Satan has them chasing the tail on that one. And, so Serbia, another one bit the dust. Erdogan may bite the dust. Syria bit the dust in 11 days. The Houthis are circling the drain. That's Edom. Edom gets destroyed in Jeremiah 49. Iran is Elam in Jeremiah 49. They get devastated so bad that people run into all the nations of the world, and then the sword follows them and they get cut off, dead. So, I think the Houthis in Yemen got to go before Iran. But Trump is well aware of the fact that you go and bomb all their missiles. Let's say he sends 50 planes, which he could do, into Yemen tonight or this afternoon, and he gets any known missile storage facility, launchers, and all that stuff. What happens? Well, then tomorrow, Iran flies another 10 or 15 missiles in, and drones, whatever, and they start attacking the American warships again. they have driven the ships out of the Red Sea. I don't think Lloyd's of London or any of these other insurance companies are going to want to insure a container ship or a grain ship going through the Red Sea. It's too expensive for them. They usually have 10 or 12 crewmen on there, so there's probably at least $100,000 policy per crewman, if not 250 or 500,000. I don't know. Then they got to insure the boat, which is, depending on the boat, it could be 30, 40 million. It could be 250 million, 300 million. Then they got to insure the cargo. So, if 2 or 3 ships get hit, the insurance company could lose $1 billion. It would wreck their financial statement. They'd be in I don't think they're in a mode of charging, double premiums or anything like that. They'd have to charge premiums 15 times higher. I wouldn't do that. They just don't want the losses. Just go around Africa. Don't go through the Red Sea. It adds 10 to 14 days to the trip. So what? It's a better alternative. So they're successful in keeping the shipping out of the Red Sea that they want to keep out of the Red Sea. China and Russia and Iran ships will pass without incident. That's what's going on. And they're getting Israel fearful, so they are making an impact, okay? And their role in this thing might be to draw Trump to a ground war. I don't think the Pentagon's going to let Trump do that. I think what the Pentagon would do first is at least 2, if not 3 months of bombing. And by then, I don't think prophetic time will last that long, but that would be a guess. So, if you want to accelerate the Yemen war, you'd have to put troops in, but you wouldn't get too far with 15 or 25,000 troops. You'd probably be looking at 50, 75,000, or maybe 25,000. You'd have to bring, with the 25,000, you'd probably have to bring 300 tanks, or I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know. I don't think he's going to do ground. I just don't see it. I think what he's going to do is just bomb the place. Eventually, he'll start knocking the power out, the phone lines, the internet. He may hit reservoirs. He'll hit train tracks. Just make everything, methodically, as the war progresses, just make the country more and more unable to function. And that would be the way you destroy it. I don't think he's stupid enough to try to do a ground invasion. Further, the ground's going to take months. There's no prophetic time for that. So I don't think we're going to see that. How long would a ground war take? Depends. If you brought 250,000 soldiers in, it might only take 4 or 6 weeks. But he's never going to bring that many soldiers in. It would take him 2 or 3 months to stage and mobilize for such a war like that. He'll just keep bombing. There's a lot of things you can do. You can get their roads, you can get their bridges, their railroads, you can get their power generators, their water facilities, their sewage facilities, internet, tons of things. So they just are not able to function anymore. That's really the game. Well, I can't look at my notes because my computer is still stuck. It might be time if you guys want to start thinking about. I need to have funds to buy another iPad because I use one to do my research and my notes, and then I use the other one to do the broadcast. So right now it looks like I'm out. uh, so we'll see what happens with this thing. It may be salvageable. I don't know. Maybe it can be saved. I'll try rebooting it again, but it's really stuck. Um, I don't know what the heck got it stuck. Maybe somebody sent me a bad thing, but it popped up like from my browser, so I don't think so. I think it just got hung up with something. I don't know what. Like I say, that new update I did with the artificial intelligence is just horrible. I've been having so many problems. The typing is wrong. The screen is wrong. The pressure, on the screen. I don't know. So now I got a problem with the supermarket. I got a problem with the iPad. See, I'm getting all kinds of problems. Pray for my wife traveling to visit the family. She's having problems too with connections and, layovers are getting extended. I don't understand all this, but it may be, you know, I don't know. Maybe I should be thinking about it's time to. I know there's a time when I'm no more on the internet. I got to go boots on the ground, and this might be it. I don't know. I've been having a lot of difficulties with the computer and this iPad, in particular. And it's not rebooting, so I mean, this might be fatal. I don't know what to do. I'll have to research it and see if there's something I can do. But there's ways to do forced boots, and I've been trying that, and it doesn't work. So I could try letting the battery run down all the way, but that's dangerous because if it runs down too far, it's hard to bring it back. I had that problem the other day with this stinking updates. Oh, that was on the other iPad. Sorry, it wasn't on this one. It was on. So I don't know what's going on. So what we're looking for now is what's going to happen with Hamas and the hostages. What's going to happen with the protests against Netanyahu, which are coming from all different directions, and the people may turn on each other, and the government could collapse. That could be it. Israel may. I mean, if Hamas gets on the TV and on the internet and starts killing the hostages, Israel may go into a breakdown and people may try to throw Netanyahu out of office. Which is why I think he was always putting the gun control in place to stop that. So we got problems with that. And that could cause the enemies of Israel to want to surround us. Give me a second, I'll be right back. And do the siege. They see weakness, they move in. They see strength, they get scared. They see weakness, they move in. me up with you. I don't think it's raining. So yeah, maybe we're at the point now. We don't see the government of Israel in Zechariah 12. All we see is the judges, which is Elijah and Apostle John. We don't see the government there at all, or the IDF. So maybe this is it, where the government falls apart. And Netanyahu trying to guide Trump. Remember, America's in a snare, Jeremiah 50, verse 24. So he's listening to Netanyahu help him in the Middle East and with Putin, because Netanyahu knows Putin pretty well, more than Trump does. So, yeah, this could be the end of this democracy thing that Netanyahu's been running. The Shin Bet guy has been threatening to release information which I think would be predominantly about October 7th and Netanyahu's involvement. That would be my number one choice. Number two choice, something to do with corruption. He hasn't yet released it. He's afraid Netanyahu will probably try to get him arrested. Right now he's trying to get him fired. Netanyahu could have the police arrest him. And a lot of people are going crazy over this. And this could come to pass because Netanyahu is having his security cabinet vote to fire the guy, and the attorney general is saying you can't fire him. So there could be, and he's trying to fire the attorney general, so there could be a big conflict here, and it could break the government up badly, not a little. I don't think the Shin Bet guy is just going to sit still and let Netanyahu fire him, because after he fires him, what's going to happen? Well, what Erdogan was doing to the mayor over there of Istanbul. Oh, we found you are corrupt. We're putting you in jail. And Erdogan had him arrest the mayor. He had the police arrest the mayor. That's what caused the blow up. So this same type of thing is happening with Netanyahu trying to get rid of the Shin Bet guy because he threatened them. Well, the people of Israel want to know what the Shin Bet guy has to say about it. Why is he not releasing it? Well, maybe he's thinking Netanyahu won't fire him, and then he's around to play again another day and tries to get his position more stable and then go after Netanyahu. But there's a lot of people going after Netanyahu. The ultra-Orthodox are happy to keep Netanyahu around as long as the money flows to them, and as long as they get out of the draft. And the right wing is happy to stay with Netanyahu as long as he keeps pushing the war in Gaza. And his own party, the Coup party, are happy to stay with him. And then he has other groups that are in his coalition. But, you know, the ultra-Orthodox and the right wing are 30 out of 120. Now, you need 61 to be prime minister. So half of what he's got is coming from the ultra-Orthodox and the right wing, which are not entirely in alignment with each other. I don't believe Smotrich or Ben-Gvir are in favor of the ultra-Orthodox not going in the military. They won't talk about it openly that I've seen, but I don't think they're in favor of that. So that's what's going on, and it's a mess, and it ain't getting any better. It's getting worse. So we got to watch that. Things are serious here with that war, or with the political turmoil and everything else. See, the real problem with Netanyahu, he's such a piece of garbage. He would throw Israel down the toilet to escape going to jail. Before he would go to the government and say, okay, listen, I had a pacemaker put in. This is stressing me out. I can't take it anymore. What do you say? I resign. I agree to a court order that I can never be in politics again. I'll resign from the Coup party. I can never be in any other political party. And just leave me the heck alone and I'll go away quietly. He won't do that. He'll wreck Israel before he does that. But can Israel really move forward with the two witnesses, with Netanyahu and his gang in place? Well, would they turn on the two witnesses? Yeah. What would Netanyahu do? Probably try to get him arrested, thrown out of Israel. How would that work? Well, it would end in a ball of fire, wouldn't it? So what's better, to have the two judges, the two prophets, the two witnesses burn up the government and the army and all that stuff without letting them reach redemption first, or just getting rid of the top tiers in the government, right? And having the government crumble and then let them take over. You see, what's happening is the 270s of Daniel 9:24. It doesn't say 70 weeks, it says 70. The first 70 is, that's in every single Hebrew Bible you can find. And that's, the first 70 is the Babylonian captivity. The second 70 is the same thing, another 70 years. It starts with redemption, with the appearing of the Son of Man in clouds, seated at the right hand of power. Those that are believers that look upon him receive everlasting life. And just before that, we read he pours the Spirit out on the house of David, and the believers in Jerusalem, well, the Jews in Jerusalem, they become believers, and then they look upon the one whom they pierced. They have everlasting life. Arise, shine, your light is, will be glowing. The light will be coming out of us like it was with Moses when he came down from Mount Sinai, and they put a veil over his face. That's how we're all going to be. There's going to be no more false believers amongst us, because they're not going to shine. And there's, in Zechariah 13, he runs the unclean spirits out of Israel. They're not here anymore. So you have no false believers to contend with at all. They'll be cut off. They're his enemies. They're going to go. And the government of Israel is his enemies too. They have a yoke around our neck. They cooperate with the nations not to let us get the land back. Netanyahu is more than happy to turn Gaza over to Israel, where prophecy says it's for us. Our shepherds will be there. You guys may be there. So it's not, they're the same as they're just as bad as the nations. So does he want to get rid of them with the two witnesses burning them up? They'll order the police and the army to attack the two witnesses. It won't work. They'll put plagues on them, or hits, or burn them up, or both. And that's ugly in a way, right? Because these people in the military, the army, and so forth, in the government, they're not our evil, wicked Satan bots like the leaders. So they would, the redemption is a test for 70 years. Okay, and there's a big falling away. Read Ezekiel 8:11. That's the big falling away called Gog and Magog. Read Zechariah 14. They don't teach you to read this, but read it. Read about the seal placed on the forehead of those that are upset about the evil done in Jerusalem back in the future, and how nothing happens to them and how they stay there. Read about that. They don't teach you Ezekiel 8:11. Read about it. You owe it to yourself. Read Zechariah 14 too. Read the whole book of Joel. And that goes along with Ezekiel 38:39. They don't want to teach it to you. So that's down the road. And that trouble probably starts, I would say it's going to take at least 40 years, maybe 60 years. Maybe 65 years, I don't know. It's going to start probably 60-something years. It'll start. Okay, it'll get bad. Okay? It's not going to be good. It'll get bad. And then what? Well, then you come to the end, where they set up the abomination that makes desolate. The glory of God of Israel leaves the temple. Then they attack. Glory of God of Israel stays on the Mount of Olives. After the attack, he finishes them off, and then he goes back into the temple. Well, I don't know if he goes back into the temple. I think he probably doesn't go back in the temple. Yeshua will return, because the end of Gog and Magog is the end of the tribulation. So then Yeshua returns to earth and goes in with New Jerusalem, and that's going to be 70 years down the road, and they're thinking it's going to happen next week or tomorrow, you know. So, you know, many times I've discussed with you what happens to the government of Israel. Where are they? They're not here. They're not in Zechariah 12, so they're already gone. So their demise will precede Zechariah 12. So once they start killing the hostages, okay, rolling the dice, let me explain what I mean, but they're going to precede it, their destruction. That's how I see it. So there you have it. So I don't know what I'm going to do for an iPad now. I'll try to wrestle with this thing. But my days are rough. My wife's travel was messed up, not to any fault of her own. There was a problem with an airport or something. And then I got this iPad going on the blink again. And I got the problem with my food delivery. My life is getting compoundly difficult for stupid reasons. I don't know what's going on. Am I leaving a door open here or something? I don't know. But I need help with prayer, guys. And, you know, if you don't think it's my time to leave the internet, maybe we need to take up some money so I can get myself another iPad, because I don't know. I don't even know how I'm going to get the data out of this one. I don't know how I'm going to get it. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I think it's probably fixable, but I don't know how to fix it. I'll have to research it. I don't know. It's a mess, guys. It's just a mess. So, I guess that's what I got for today. So hit the thumbs up. You might want to subscribe. You may not. And I send my, well, please pray for me and my wife. Pray for her to get through these travel problems, and pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray for us to be happy, healthy, and whole, and heal up, and pray for our finances. Now I've got a financial problem coming with the computer. I don't know how much they are anymore. I think they're about $1,500 US for one of these iPad Pros, which is the ones I use. They have the good speakers and all that stuff, and the good microphones. And pray for the animals and pets, which are all rescues, to be happy, healthy, and whole. Pray for our weather to warm up a little bit anyway. And pray for better videos. And I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach. And I'm out.